With the race narrowing down to Joe Biden and Bernie Sanders, the Trump campaign started to sharpen its attacks on both candidates. Burisma, which Biden's fellow nominees did not attack the former vice president on, shaping up to be a major liability in the general election.
Joining us via Skype to discuss this more is host of Pushback with Aaron Maté, Aaron Maté.
Aaron Maté himself joins us now via Skype. Good to see you, Aaron. How are you?
Good morning.
Morning. So, Aaron, I mean, you've tracked, been excellent on this from the beginning, on the Ukraine Gate scandal writ large. I guess I think people might have forgotten at this point what exactly happened. Hunter Biden did sit on a Ukrainian energy company board, $50,000 or maybe $80,000 a month. Nobody actually knows. But it really is just the tip of the iceberg in terms of a long career of his of trading off of his father's name. That was just probably the most egregious example that's going to come up in the general election.
I agree. There's the China case where Hunter flies on Air Force Two. You've talked about this a lot, Sarver.
Right.
But I agree that the Ukraine case is the most egregious. The Ukrainian government was overthrown in a U.S.-backed coup in 2014, and right after that, Burisma, in a bid to curry favor with the Obama administration, which is now has major influence inside Ukraine, appoints Hunter Biden, the son of Joe Biden, who was running point for the Obama administration in Ukraine. And Joe Biden played a major role in setting U.S. policy during that period. And what is crazy is, I think Democratic candidates during the primary have avoided the issue, because they don't want to play into what has been a Republican talking point. It was at the heart of the whole impeachment thing. But there's no way it will not come up if Biden is the nominee. And when Biden has been asked about this in media interviews as to why he thinks Hunter Biden got the job, getting paid over $80,000 per month, he told Savannah Guthrie, she asked him, and he said it's because he's a very bright guy. That literally is what Biden said to explain why Hunter got the job. And it's going to be a massive gift to Trump, and I have no doubt that if Biden is the nominee, clips like that will be played endlessly.
Mm-hmm. Well, when Hunter Biden left law school and got a big job with MBNA, which at the time was the kind of monopolist credit card issuer in Delaware, Biden was pressed on that because Biden was pushing bankruptcy reform on behalf of the credit card industry, and particularly on behalf of MBNA. He was jokingly referred to in the newspapers as the senator from MBNA, and he said, do you have any idea how much money Hunter Biden could make coming out of law school? The fact that he came back to Wilmington and is working for a hometown company should actually be applauded. This is the 90s or whatever. So he's been making these arguments on behalf of Hunter for a very long time, which, I mean, as a father, you can kind of understand.
Sure.
There's just the kid's got problems. The kids had problems. But what I wanted to ask you about is what Ron Johnson and some other Republican senators are up to right now. The Republican Party, if nothing else, is adept at using the power that they have to entrench their power further. And so what they're doing now is they're seeking more and more documents around the Burisma case from any any avenue they can find, I think, to try to drum up more news stories every time that they can get a drip, drip, drip from these documents. Is that your sense of what Republicans' plan is for the rest of 2020?
I think certainly the Senate committee doing this that's definitely their agenda, is to give Trump some re-election fuel. But I think that was a gift handed to them, frankly, by the Democrats in deciding to place Burisma at the heart of their impeachment trial. So it's not surprising that they're doing it. And by the way, among the Republicans who are now on board with this is none other than Mitt Romney, who for a couple of days was a liberal hero because he voted for one of the articles of impeachment. So yeah, I mean, I wish we could have a campaign that was focused on real issues, but now I think because of the conscious choices of people in powerful positions in both parties, we're going to be hearing a lot about Burisma and Ukraine all over.
Right. And Aaron, I mean, there's still quite a few unanswered questions whenever it comes to the Burisma deal. And I mean, it's not just that. I think people don't really seem to understand the breadth of not just Hunter's career. Biden's brother has a lot of stuff going on in terms of deals. He was caught promising a healthcare company that they would have some role in healthcare reform if his brother becomes president. And as you say, this is basically going to be an election in which neither side, frankly, has moral authority. And so it will just come down to tribalism, and it'll just turn off a lot of people who see cynicism in the election in the first place.
Yeah, I agree. And this is why I wish Bernie Sanders had been a little bit more aggressive against Biden. I mean, even now you have Bernie saying that I think Joe Biden could defeat Donald Trump. Biden himself has not said the same thing about Bernie, as far as I know. And
Right.
Bernie was reluctant to bring up serious weak points like Burisma, like Ukraine, during the primary. And I fear as if that lack of a killer instinct has been helpful to Biden. And there's so much to get him on. I mean, Sagar, you've talked about this too. There's the fact that Hunter got the board seat at Amtrak, and they explained that
He rides the trains a lot.
he rides the trains a lot, and that's just not going to fly. It's not. I mean, you can maybe get away with that inside your insular Democratic circle, but once general election voters have the chance to weigh this, it's just not going to look good.
Yeah, it's really not.
Yeah. It's not.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where, Aaron, I think everyday Americans can look at this and they can say, look, I mean, that wouldn't have happened to me. And the fact that didn't, it was a period of special access, and they can understand that this is just kind of a rotten core within the system. And as you say, I mean, it's one of those things where we had Ted Lieu on the show. I'm sure you saw this back a couple months ago, I think in September. And he said, yeah, people sit on boards and receive monetary compensation. It's just like that is just such a blatant hypocrisy when these are the same people who, look, probably rightfully are talking about, Jared Kushner and Ivanka Trump working in the White House. It's just one of those things where when you don't have that authority, everybody will just look at that and be like, this is ridiculous.
It reminds me of during the impeachment trial when Democrats were accusing Trump of betraying the country because he solicited foreign interference. And so Republicans asked the impeachment managers to explain why soliciting the Steele dossier from a former British spy, relying purportedly on information from Russia, why that was not soliciting foreign interference. And Hakeem Jeffries, literally, his explanation during the impeachment trial, this is in the congressional record, was that the difference is that in the case of the Clinton campaign getting the Steele dossier, they paid for it, so that made it not soliciting. I mean, it's just, it's ridiculous. And I think, voters are smart enough to see through it.
Yeah, certainly they are. All right, Aaron, thank you so much for joining us. Great talking to you as always, and we'll see you later.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. Coming up, Team Rising discusses Joe Biden's latest endorsements.